So this is how to run lab number 10, which is range versus launch angle. We're going to try this out. It's the first time I've ever done an intro video. I'm being blinded right now by my flash, but sorry for the low production quality. I'm just going to do first take and see how it goes from there. So, okay, here we go. All right, first things first, here's the lab. Just make sure that you do fill in your hypothesis, and you can look back up here at the objective, which is you're trying to figure out how the angle of the marble launcher affects the range. And don't forget to fill in these variables down here. You can find some of that information if you actually read through the introduction from the lab. So there's not much to fill out on this paper other than some of the instructions and then maybe some questions here at the end. But we still need to have paper copies for the state, so that's why we're still using these. But part of the lab will be on Google Sheets, so we'll get there in just a moment. All right, here it is. This is the marble launcher. There you go. First things first, always wear eye protection, so make sure you're not shooting this in anyone's eye. Never launch marbles at people, so on and so forth. Keep your face away from the open end and only launch these black marbles. So the marbles are in this can with the strongman on it. There are only 5 of them, and I only have 5 launchers, so don't lose one of the marbles. All right, so how this works is we have these notches up top, and it's just a spring-loaded mechanism. So we put it in the notch, and then after you put the marble, or once you cock the cannon or the launcher, then go ahead and put the marble in. And because this thing is very slick, and so just an accidental bump might launch your marble, and then you'll be chasing it all over. So first cock the launcher, then place your marble in, and away you go. So this thing has we're not gonna use notch 4 or 5 because they're too strong and the marble will hit the ceiling when you're trying to do your work. So 3 is the notch we're going to use. That avoids the ceiling or anything like that. All right, on the back of the launcher is a knob that you can just loosen or tighten. You don't want to over tighten it, just enough to hold it steady. And that allows you to adjust the angle. So if you look at the back here, there's a little pointer on the wood, and you can adjust the angle. So what we're going to do for the lab is you're going to start way down here at like 85 or so, launch it 3 times, watch where it lands, then change it to 80, launch it 3 times, watch where it lands, and so on and so forth. So you're going to go by 5s, and I would suggest start way down here at 85 and then work your way up to the shallower angles. All right, and so teams of 3 are best, but with a large class we don't have that option. So I came up with an idea to use, we'll go with teams of 4, including a launcher who runs the marble launcher. We have an observer who watches where the marble lands, a retriever to get the marble and send it back to the launcher. I shouldn't use the word send, maybe roll it back to the launcher. That's a better choice of words. And maybe a recorder or recorders if you have a group of 5. So I was thinking if you have multiple recorders, they can put the information in each person's laptops or Chromebooks. So if you have 5 people in your group, for instance, you've got 1 launcher, 1 observer, 1 retriever, and maybe 2 recorders. And those 2 recorders could put all of the information in each of these persons' Chromebooks, because each person in the group has to have their own file, and that file is on Google Classroom. It's a spreadsheet. So we can't just have one person do it and then share it with the group. We're looking for each person to have their own file. And when you're done, part of this is that you'll need to print this out somehow and attach it to the paper lab. I'm not sure if we'll be able to print them out today, or maybe when I get back, we can try and get that done. All right, so for each of these roles, what we're going to do is the launcher is going to be in charge of running this the marble launcher machine and setting the angles. And one thing you want to be, I should have mentioned this before. So you cock the launcher first, then you're putting your marble in. Don't release the pin with your finger, because it can tend to stick to your finger a little bit, and that's going to mess up your data. So I would suggest use something like a pen or a pencil to just just tap it in place. Now also watch what happens to the machine, to the launcher. When I do tap it, the whole thing vibrates and it moves. So what you'll want to do is when you're launching, hold it steady with one hand, use the other hand to release it. Okay, so that's going to be the launcher. The observer is going to be trying to watch where the ball lands, and that's pretty tricky, so I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. The retriever, your job is easy in the beginning because when we're starting at the high angles, the ball goes nice and high and doesn't go too far. But as we get to the lower angles, basically 30, 20, 10, 15, those angles there, the ball's going to go quite a bit quicker, and you may have to be chasing the ball down. So when you're retrieving the marble, don't toss it back to the launcher because these things bounce all over the place, and they go. It's very easy to lose them and have to chase them down even more. So just kindly, nicely, just roll it back on the floor to the launcher. And as I stated before, the recorders can just be there with the Chromebooks and putting all the information in. You're launching 3 times from each angle, so that's quite a bit of numbers to record. And if you're running Chromebooks for each of these people, you'll definitely need 2 recorders. If you're in a group of 4, maybe you'll only have one person recording in their Chromebook, and then after we're done with the lab, with the experiment, you can then share out the information to the rest of the people in the group who can type it in. All right, so how to observe where the marble lands is coming right up. Okay, so one of the issues that we run into with this marble launcher is we're launching from maybe like 30 centimeters above the ground or so. And so when the marble's in there, it doesn't land at the same height that it's launched from. In fact, it lands quite a bit further down, 30 centimeters down onto the floor. So that kind of throws off the data a little bit. We need it to land at the same height that it's launched from, especially at these low angles, right? So if we look at the launcher, that definitely is going to land. All right, I ran out of storage space, so part 2. So it's going to land at a much farther distance away than it should because of that extra drop. So to fix that issue, come on, focus. I have created a landing pad. All right, so I took a box, some of these paper boxes, and marked them accordingly. So by 5 centimeters apiece. And if you notice, these boxes just happen to be almost exactly the same height as the launching or the launcher. So it works out really well this way. The only issue is you have to get the marble to land on the box. So what I would recommend is come on, there we go. All right, so launch the marble one time. Oh, there it goes. Come on back. All right. So first, I did that wrong. You're supposed to cock it first and then put the marble in, right? All right. So watch first where the marble lands. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, it's way over there. I lost it. Once you see approximately where it's going to land, then go ahead and put your box there, and then try to get your 3 launches from that point. All right. So why these marks? Well, you'll see in just a minute. But this is the view that the observer should take. All right. So the marble's being launched from over there. It's going to go up into the air and come down. And so the observer should be right to the side of the box like that. And you want to watch the box. All right. Don't look over here and watch the marble go up in the air and come back down, because then you won't see exactly where it lands. If you focus right on the box, when the marble goes through the air, you'll see it come in and hit the box and bounce off, and you'll have a much better view of where it landed on the box. All right, so to figure out or to measure exactly where the ball goes, you're going to use these measuring tapes. Make sure you're on the metric side, and we're going to be using centimeters is fine. So launch the marble one time, and this is not quite right. I'll show you how to set that up in a minute. But launch the marble, watch where it lands. So let's say it landed somewhere right around here at, let's see, I'm 1 meter and 70 centimeters. So it lands somewhere in there. Take your box and put it right on top of the tape like that. All right, so the front of the box, this is 0, and then we go 5, 10, 15 from there. So if you pick a point, where did it land? It landed at 70, right? So if I put this right on the 50, now this is 55. This is going to be 10 more than that, which is 60, 65, 70. So that 70, the ball landed somewhere down here. It's going to hit maybe up somewhere in this area of the box. So just keep that in mind as you're doing this. You always want to add, sorry for the camera here, always add these numbers, these values of centimeters to whatever you have down here. All right, and if it misses the box, if it falls short or goes too long, you might need to adjust it slightly and maybe move it up to, say, there. So now I'm at 170 centimeters, and then you're going to have to do that figuring as well. All right, so where do we measure from? Well, we want to measure from the tip of the cannon, but notice that it's not, the tip of the cannon is not lined up with the front of the launcher here. It's about 5 centimeters behind it. So we want to set the cannon up a little ways so that the front of the cannon, or the front of the launcher, I should say, is about 5 centimeters from the end of the measuring tape. So now the measuring tape is lined up directly with the cannon where it's launched. All right, and one thing I would recommend is to tape this down. Actually, I don't recommend it. I think you should do this. Tape the tape down. That way when you're walking around, if you accidentally step on it, it's not going to move. And one thing that I found out was that this masking tape is exactly 5 centimeters, right? So we're going from the 10 right over here to that 5. So that works out really nicely. I would say take the tape and start it here at the 10. Now when you tape your measuring tape down, this edge right here is at your 5 centimeter mark, and now you can put the launcher right up to that tape. All right, and if it moves or you bump it, just put it right back to that tape, and the cannon, the tip of the cannon is lined up exactly with the front of, or from the tip of the measuring tape. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. So, and that should give you good enough data. And you'll only need maybe at most about, no, you won't need more than 5 meters worth of tape. So unroll this thing out. Start here. Unroll it out about maybe like 5 meters or so, and then tape it down at the other end. All right. So pull this out, make sure it's flat, and then just tape it here about 5 meters away. And so you don't need to unroll this thing more than that. Okay, so we're going to summarize this whole thing, and I brought my assistants, my 2 youngest. Here's Christian. He's going to be our launcher. Say hi, bud. Hi. And this is Annalise. She's going to be our observer. Oh, hi. Hi. All right. We don't have someone over here to retrieve the ball, but I will do that afterwards. So we've got our launcher. He's all set to go, and he's in a great position to launch. And then our observer over here is in a great position to observe where the ball lands. We're going to give it a go here. Oh, did forget to mention this. If the ball seems to be not going straight, you can adjust just by turning the back end of the cannon like this, or of the launcher. So let's see. Hopefully we will be right on target here. We're going to give it one little demonstration. Okay, so are you ready? Use that pen, remember? Wait, didn't I give you the pen? Yeah, use that to flick it, right? Okay, ready? Here we go. All right, are you ready to read? Are you all set? All right, shoot it. Where'd that land? Right about there. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I have to go retrieve the marble wherever. Oh, there it is. And I'm going to nicely roll it back to my launcher. Can I launch it? And there we go. All right, good luck. You have 2 periods to get this whole thing finished. And that's all that I can think of. So have fun. I forgot, and I thought about as I was driving home, so I'm in my car doing this. You can probably only fit about 2 groups in the classroom, and so some groups are going to have to go out into the hall. A couple things: please be mindful that there are still other classes going on. I know you have a tendency to get loud, and please do your best not to be loud. And secondly, stay near the sides so that passersby have room, so don't go right in the middle of the hall. And try not to send marbles all the way down the hall or down the stairs. It happens, but try to avoid it if you can. All right, thanks. Have fun.